Welcome back. You're still watching the daily debate, as we did see in the past break and the past report. According to the statements of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, the challenges were great, but we were greater, as we did see in the past week during the presidential activities of President al-Sisi and the official launch of the Decent Life initiative, that a new republic was marked, a new republic was launched. Dr. Mohamed Kafafy, how did you follow this big event and those big statements by President al-Sisi?
First, this is one of the greatest initiatives occurred or will be occurred in this era in the last 20 years.
Yes.
Actually, it's a very, very good and impressive project. By the way, the project aims to develop more than 4,500 village, it representing about 58% of population, with budget about 700 billion Egyptian pounds. The pillars or the project focuses on we can say 5 areas.
Yes.
The upgrading social, upgrading educational side, or health,
yes,
economic, and also have to talk about the environment.
Yes.
It's a mandatory now when talking about the environment is indispensable part of any development.
Yes.
Then we can talk about the project focus on the 5 areas. The aim to the very important issue we want to discuss about this, or the first recommendation, we have to talk about the strategic planning of this project. Any project to be successful, already now we are talking about the project triangle. The triangle of the project is scope, upgrading the 5 pillars of the village, the budget, or the cost, 700.
Yes.
And the third factor, or the time, about 8 years, because it will be the aim of this project is to meet or to achieve the vision 2030.
So the goal, the budget, and the pace of work all the time needed.
Exactly. This is project triangle. Actually, to achieve this project successfully, we have to put the plan.
Yes.
There is a quote says, planning or failing to plan is planning to fail.
Yes.
Now we have to put the master plan, because it's very important to successfully or to achieve this project or this initiatives. We need integration of all institutions in Egypt, governmental institutions like ministries, and private sector, and NGO. These are 3 sides or the three triangles, 3 sides of the triangles to achieve this project. We need the integration between, not responsibility of, when we talk, by the way, when we talk about if we upgrading the education,
yes,
is not a Ministry of Education, not only, no. Is also Ministry of upgrading the health.
Yes.
We will need integration between Ministry of Development and the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of all ministries.
The private sector.
Exactly. Energy sector. And so on.
The citizens themselves to be accepting the new ideas.
Exactly.
Yes.
Then then we need a good planning, similar to expanding Suez Canal, one of the greatest projects occurred. You can see the good planning achieve the project in less than 1 year, and one of the hugest projects occurred. The same in this program. Especially this program needs integration in 4,500 village.
Yes.
Very, very huge.
Huge number, yes.
Many problems or numerous problems, numerous barriers and the challenges. And also talking about very easy, by the way, to developing the good or the new advantage of these initiatives, talking about upgrading the social and the educational side of the people, or building people in the parallel of building the infrastructure and so on. It's a good.
That is even harder.
Exactly.
To be changing the mindset and the culture.
Exactly. To develop people is very hard regarding developing, very easy to eliminate the roads, to eliminate the building, and the renovating these buildings, very easy. But to develop people, it's very hard. especially the number of people is huge.
About 58 million.
Exactly, 58%, not the same percent,
Yes.
say approximately
Same,
58
yes.
million. It's a very huge project. Then we need the very good planning, and also planning with two levels. Very good comment, I'm saying.
Yes.
Leveling of master planning for as a project approximately about 7 or 8 years. Then we have to divide or to make the master plan or the strategic plan for these years.
Yes.
And also we need operational plan. Operational planning, weekly plan. What will happen in the first week in this month, second week.
Over the 8 years?
Exactly. And upgrade it in parallel
Yes.
with implementation and upgrading with master strategic plan. But this we
Should be more interactive if something
Exactly.
changes.
We have to put this
Yes.
from day one. This responsibility of all stakeholders of the project, government, private, and NGOs, is a very important milestone or backbone of the successful of the KPI of this project. We have to plan. Not only, I'm sure there is at least it's very easy to create a strategic plan
Yes.
for 5 years, no problem. But the big issue to convert or to make operational plan or weekly plan. For example, each year about 52 weeks, then we have to divide or to break down the activity to 52 weeks to see all activities or to see sub-activity and so on and the progress. It's a very important issue. Now let us discuss about, let us analyze or talk about each pillar or each focus of this initiatives.
The scope,
Scope, exactly.
the budget, and the place of work all the time. Yes.
Regarding the scope, as we said in the first discussion, the scope is about focus on the 5 pillars
Yes.
or 5 themes: education, economy, health, building or infrastructure, or economy, and the environment.
Yes.
Let us discuss first about education. What's the meaning what's the meaning of education development? Education development is not just creating new schools. Already schools exist. We will need to develop existing schools, and not developing also building, but we have to integrate this school with practical work.
Yes.
So it's named dual education.
To the market,
Exactly.
to what I need.
Dual education, exactly. To why? Firstly, to create local jobs. All villages need, we have a big problem. The immigration from villages to cities is a big problem.
After the implementation of a Decent Life initiative, do you think that this could be solved, the internal immigration within Egypt, that a lot of people can see and can find the opportunities of job opportunities, the enough money, so they have to migrate internally or to be going to Cairo, going to Alexandria, those big cities? Do you think this could be solved?
Cannot be still present. We have a big issue. And also illegal immigration.
Yes.
It's a big issue.
Outside of Egypt.
Exactly.
Yes.
There's a big problem meets the economy. And this immigration affected on many things. Affected on the family separations, affected on the agricultures,
Yes.
because many
Neglecting
neglecting
agriculture altogether.
It's a very bad impacts on or consequences on this immigration, national or internal immigration. Then one of the aim in eliminating or at least reducing the internal immigration,
Yes.
and eliminating poverty. This is, I'm talking about, this is the head, or this is the milestone, or the cornerstone of this initiatives. By how? Developing people, developing the infrastructure. This will, and also supplying energy and water and the sewage system.
Yes.
All this, and also creating a new or incubators or medium or zones, industrial zones beside each village.
Yes.
By the way, these industrial zones should not serve a new product. No. We have to focus on agro-business industries. For example, we will use fruits, vegetables, output or produced from this land to go to these industries, for example, for food processing and the food products.
Yes.
Then we have to focus in the food industries. These new projects will create new jobs, eliminate poverty, developing people.
It will be developing industry and agriculture at the same time.
Sure. Agriculture, as Mr. President said, we will expand or are doing the best to expand the agriculture area. By the way, agriculture is unfortunately is reduced more than 1 million acres.
That is one of the main
years.
challenges that President Al-Sisi spoke of, that we had and we have great challenges, but we are greater. How do you think we could be overcoming those challenges as soon as possible, as we did in the past 7 or 8 years under the tenure of President Al-Sisi in so many sectors and on so many levels, as you mentioned, even having a new Suez Canal, agriculture, education, health, all of those sectors are simultaneously being solved and being developed.
Many problems overcome and solved. Actually, we have one of the most important support is leadership intention. Already, Mr. President and his team own leadership intention to develop like a locomotive, strong locomotive, eliminating any barriers in their ways. Is actually now is moving in the roadmap, good roadmap. But I'm also trying to make a spotlight and lighting some issues maybe lost or maybe disappeared from his vision.
Yes.
Then this is the role of media. We are trying to highlight some points.
Yes.
Some points I'm talking about when we the issue or these initiatives. It's very good to develop infrastructure. I'm sure this very easy. It will be the first step, developing infrastructure, energy, water, sewage, and so on.
Roads.
Exactly, roads. In parallel, and also when we talk about the energy, we have to talk about the renewable energy.
Yes.
It's not allowed now to supplying gas power stations or traditional energy. No. This development should be now as a new trend.
And for the sake of the environment.
Exactly.
And climate change.
To maintain the village as same with good environment, improving health, and also supplying. We have a lot of enough energy, solar energy. It's very, very a lot. This is one of the pillars. Another way is education. Education should be 2 ways. Conversion education programs. Conversion education program means we will find numerous people already hold degrees or hold associate degree or less, but is not required or not meet the market or industrial market or labor market. Then we will put all of these people in the conversion program to upgrading.
To be linking education and higher education to the market in
by
Egypt.
Upgrading or changing skills and knowledge.
Yes, Dr. Mohamed will be returning once again to you, but we have over the phone Dr. Osama Murad, the financial expert. Dr. Osama, thank you very much for being with us tonight on the Daily Debate.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
The pleasure is all mine. Dr. Osama, first of all, how did you see and how did you follow the Decent Life initiative being launched officially by President Abdel Fattah Al-Sisi and the launch of a new republic at the same time?
It's a great initiative, as always. I mean, it's an economic uprising in the making, which can only be compared with the modern Egypt's second uprising of Muhammad Ali. I mean, the infrastructure which has been built over the time now, be that roads, be that electricity, water supply, but also the social net through the Karama network. Is an incredible achievement, especially in the difficult economic times we're facing now. Not only a slower economic time, but also coronavirus epidemic environment. So it's really a great achievement, which puts Egypt on the forefront of nations of economic resiliency.
Yes, Dr. Osama, it will be affecting the initiative about 58% of the population, or about roughly 58 million people in Egypt, in 4,000 and 4,500 different villages across the governorates of the country. How do you see the scope of such an initiative?
The scope is vast, and I think it's one of the biggest scopes ever on economic initiatives. And the thing I really want to praise, that it's not just an economic package,
Yes,
which it's just supporting the poor, but it's giving a deadline, it's giving a time, it's giving economic integration, prosperity into that. So it's really one of the initiatives which is being studied all over as an economic development package. Probably one of the biggest economic welfare packages ever.
yes. Dr. Osama, we have in the studio tonight Dr. Mohamed Kafafy, the UN's World Fund Chief Consultant for Development and Planning, and he's mentioned a very important point. According to the vision of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, it is not just about building roads, developing infrastructure, developing 4,000 villages, but it's about changing the mindset, building the people themselves, and preserving the identity of the Egyptians. How do you see this as a main vision of President al-Sisi in the past 7 years?
Well, since President Sisi came into power, he has been very straightforward and very honest about, yes, I will support whoever needs support, but you have to support yourself. He has been supporting tremendously entrepreneurship, youth, women, any kind of initiatives, but always saying that I'm backing you up, but you have to work. You cannot be expecting the state to support you if you're just laying down and sitting
Yes.
back. Do your part, and I'll be backing you on your part. So it's changing the mindset and the paradigm of the Egyptian economic environment from the, if you want to put it into political theory term, from the socialist era we were in the 50s and 60s to an entrepreneurship, social market economy.
Yes, on the other hand, this brings us to the part of planning, the good planning that we have seen here in Egypt in the past 7 or 8 years under the tenure of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. How do you see it, especially that we are going into a new national project, a huge achievement, a decent life initiative marking a new republic?
Egypt is an institutional country, but I think we have here to praise the tremendous effort done by Minister Hala Saeed and her colleagues for being able to do Egypt's plan in line with the SDGs of the UN and in line of sustainability measures of the global world. So Egypt is now putting its development plan in line with what the world is moving. It's not out of line, it's not moving alone. It's there focusing on the same issues the whole world is focused on. And Minister Saeed and her colleagues, and also the Prime Minister, have been really doing a great job of achieving things without a lot of noise. Just putting the numbers in, planning, achieving, and doing what's there. And regardless of
Yes, Dr. Osama. Dr. Osama Murad. I think we've lost Dr. Osama Murad, the financial expert. Thank you very much for being with us tonight on the Daily Debate over the phone. We will be having a quick break and we'll be returning once again to you on the Daily Debate, so stay tuned.
أعلن اليوم انطلاق مشروعنا الوطني الأعظم لتنمية الريف المصري حياة كريمة.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Daily Debate, and a Decent Life Initiative, or Haya Karima, has launched the official phase of it by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in the past week. Dr. Mohamed Kafafy was speaking about education, higher education, health, environment, and the economy or the economic reforms.
Exactly.
This is the scope or the vision of the government. How do you see it now?
Regarding this vision, or we're talking about the first pillars is education, or the first priority, or the hardest one. I'm also talking about the education.
That is the hardest one.
Exactly, sure. Because it's based in developing mentality, building people. It's a very, by the way,
yes,
education means not just for public. Education, what's the meaning of education? Education just, no, the narrow concept is acquiring knowledge and skills. But not only enough. Knowledge and skills for what? For changing behavior.
So a whole mentality.
Exactly. Education, not a changing behavior, is not education. You are not educated. And also, by the way, this initiative, education, to develop people and to eliminate or to overcome literacy. We still have the literacy rate in Egypt is high.
Especially in the countryside.
Exactly, in rural village.
Yes.
Especially are now living in the digital era. It's not acceptable.
Yes.
More than 30% in Egypt still illiterated. This is again, to get or to develop or to obtain good education, we have to integrate education with labor market, because output or education for employment.
Yes.
This issue, if we implement this part or this pillar successfully, it will be great achievement. Second one, as we said, in the infrastructure, by supplying water, or creating a sewage system and energy supplies. And mainly also energy supplies should be renewable energy, or mainly solar energy. And also considering recycling and so on. By the way,
yes,
one of the infrastructure now talking about information technology. It now is a part of infrastructure. It's not a luxury. To supplying villages with internet, with IT systems, it's not now a luxury. It's mandatory to integrate all activity, what happened in each region, because we have a very, very important principle. You cannot manage or improve what you cannot measure.
Yes.
This is a principle. Then we have to put internet networks in each village, and to supplying or improving services of digitalization. This will completely different now. This also integrate with education, because already we need calibers to operate and to maintain this system.
Yes.
Also, regarding the industrial development, we have our economic development. Economic development should be working on the two pillars.
Before leaving education, how, as you mentioned, to be changing the mentality of the Egyptians, to be changing the mindset of the Egyptians, how have those mindsets changed in the past 7 years or 8 years under President al-Sisi?
Many things. Sure, education is now improved, but still we have a big problem. We have a still gap between academic or educational output and labor market. Actually, to attract or to develop education or obtain quality education, or people believe in the importance of education, it integrate or to join or to link education with employees or employment, or education for employment. Exactly, employment.
Yes.
Actually, all people, anyone will be educated and believes that at the end of this educational or academic life will work. Sure, the mentality will be changed, and the beliefs will be changed. What's a big issue?
Yes.
Many people, thousands of people, go to universities or schools and not believing the end of this cycle or this career will finish with work. Let us say straightforward. Then,
or at least a job in his field.
Exactly. Then we have to join and to have to, from now, to integrate or to communicate or to link educational or developing educational systems in these villages with work in the same location, in the agriculture industries or product industries. And also we have to focus again to expand the agriculture areas and green areas in these villages. We have to focus in the agro industries. Many industries, we have many.
So it's like the same idea of having a university, King Salman University, for example, in Sharm el-Sheikh, but the graduates of it would be working in tourism,
exactly.
For example.
School of Tourism, it should be, I mean, that or the major, same. By the way, to developing, one of the focus or the aim of the project is developed 85 million. Actually, 20% from this number, if we developed and created job for 20%, will be impacted and will be improved the rest of this number.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Actually, this initiative, I'm not aiming to touch all 50 million people. It's not logic. But 20%, for example, 5 million from this number found jobs for 5 million, developed the mentality, developed the ability, and developed jobs, and so on.
It could be affecting their families too.
Exactly. In parallel with developing infrastructure and energy and so on, should the situation be completely different.
Could this mean that the gap between the countryside and the bigger cities in Egypt could be closed, the gap between
but
those two
actually,
places?
we will upgrading, at least developing, eliminating poverty to close this gap. But all over the world, sure, there is a gap always between villages or rural villages and cities. It's logic.
Yes.
But the gap is not very large. Then one of the scope of, one of the aim of this project is eliminating poverty, reducing this gap to avoid this separation or right separation between social levels and the social standard of life. To eliminate, to eliminate crimes, to eliminate tourism, many people.
Unemployment.
Exactly. Unemployment is I'm always told, is a big disaster in all over the world at employment, especially in the country like Egypt, because we have a big problem. The issue is not the number of people, but the big issue is population rate. Population increase rate about 2 million people yearly. We have a big problem. 2 million people yearly. Should we find new houses, new building, new food,
jobs,
new
places for education and schools?
You can imagine, by the way, each 2 years we are producing total population equivalent to Sweden. Sweden, 5 million people. Can you imagine? One country we are producing them. It's a very really actually population rate. It's very big problem. We have to also resist, or we have to increase the awareness and create the culture. People should be, we have to reduce this population rate because this population rate is overcoming or deteriorating any development occurred, actually.
Yes, and to be upgrading through the Decent Life Initiative, the countryside of Egypt, we needed, as you mentioned, the cooperation between the government, different ministries, and the private sector as well. It is always mentioned by President Al-Sisi. How do you see this could be translated on the ground through the Decent Life Initiative?
By plan. We have to announce it, a strategic plan, very clear strategic plan, because a plan, what's a plan including what? Plan including activities required, time, and responsibilities for credibility. Not talking just announcement or just publication. The strategic plan should be announced on the website of Ministry of Planning, for example, and the many government. All people or heads see this plan. I'm always believing that good planning is one of the milestones or the key PI or the key success factor for the project.
Yes.
Because it's not easy project. It's one of the hardest projects will be implemented in Egypt. It's the hugest one and the hardest one. Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Because it's a multi-dimensional activity. Education, health. For example, for health care, what we will do. Sure, many hospitals, many health care centers should be developed. integrating also private health care with governmental health care. It's not only, we will not depend completely on the governmental or public health care. It's not logic. We have to create a new system integrating all health care, private with governmental. All system will be registered by digitalization also. Then, many activity will be integrated. Private sector will be a key success factor and the key player. Government will not implement all things.
Yes.
Government just will be night watchman or just regulator or overseeing, and the implementation from private sector. However, as I said, there should be plan, should be clear. Not start before good planning. Planning including scheduling, activities, who is responsible on each stage, and the budget for each stage, and the risk assessment. The risk assessment is one of the very important. What will happen if this occur, if a statement, if it's what we will do.
Especially a big number, 4,000 villages, 58 million people.
Exactly. Because various scenarios or many scenarios may be failed. What will happen if I have a second study and so on.
Yes, and hopefully, as you mentioned, the planning and the plan of Egypt will be going according to the right path. Dr. Mohamed Kafafy, the Chief Consultant at the United Nations World Fund for Development and Planning, the WFDP. Thank you very much for being with us tonight on the Daily Debate, and congratulations on the Feast of Sacrifice or the Greater Bayram or Eid al-Adha.
Thank you very much.
Anytime.
Thank you.
And this brings us to the end of the Daily Debate for tonight, and I would like to send the congratulations of Nile TV International to all the viewers all around the world for the Feast of Sacrifice or the Greater Bayram or Eid al-Adha. Thank you for watching and goodbye.